So following on from last week's table saw review of this Evolution Rage 5S, I thought I would have a go at making an insert plate using this piece of PVC piping. This PVC pipe is left over from a little job I had to do in my kitchen, and I thought it the ideal material to use to make a zero clearance insert plate. Now I'm currently on a stint of 12-hour day shifts at work, so the daylight hours are completely gone by the time I'm home from work. So the majority of this filming is going to have to be done inside my living room, making noise and creating dust, which my neighbours are going to love. Now the first thing you're going to have to do with this piece of pipe is run it down the table saw and cut a groove in the middle. Now, as all good TV shows say, here's one I prepared earlier. So to cut this groove, I just moved the fence in, and using a block of wood on this side to trap it against the fence, I just ran it down the table saw, outside I must add, so the dust didn't come in the house.
So now you move on to baking it in the oven. I placed it in the oven for about 3 or 4 minutes and came back and then checked on it. It was pliable but not as supple as I wanted. So I put it back in for another few minutes and then took it out. Make sure you wear something protective on your hands, as it could be quite warm. So then I did get it out of the oven, and you've got a little bit of time before it goes off to get it clamped up. But I did this part pretty quick as I wanted to get it clamped up. You may have to do this process 2 or 3 times just to get it really flat, as I did. So then I put some double-sided tape down on the piece of plywood I was going to use as the insert plate. Stuck down the PVC pipe, then flipped over, another bit of double-sided tape, and stuck down the insert plate at the table saw. Then I just went around with a pencil and marked where the table saw was. Now, using my jigsaw, I tried not to cut across the line, I cut as close to the line as possible. I just went ahead and cut out the shape of the insert plate. So using this flush trim router bit with a bearing, I adjusted it to the correct height. So I went ahead and routed around the sides of the PVC to ensure that the PVC and the plywood were flush and the same size as the insert plate. Now, one thing that will stop me from getting this insert plate level is these little brackets that hold in the original insert plate. So what I'm going to have to do is router out a groove so that the plate can sink down. So just using a straight cut bit, I went ahead and I cut the outside edges of the plywood with the router bit until it looks something like this. And I just kept coming back and adjusting the depth of the router itself until it sat flush on the table. So when it came to cutting the groove for the blade in the new insert plate, I couldn't place the insert plate this way round as it bottomed out on the blade, so I had to flip it over and then clamp it into position with the rip fence and another piece of plywood the other side. I was then able to turn the saw on and raise the blade up through the middle. So I flipped over 180 degrees and then you could raise the blade up and come through and cut the rest of the groove out. Now, by having it flipped over, it left a cut at the end which was perfect for the riving knife to fit through. So now I knew where the blade was going to go. I just simply drew a few holes with a countersink so that I could whack a few screws in, knowing that the screws would sit flush or slightly below and not impede me. And then I wanted to put a finger hole in it so I could lift it out, so using a force and a bit I just cut that in. As you can see, I did have to move the screw for this, but that was no big deal. Then it's time to give it a try, so I fitted it into the table saw. So I thought I would cut quite a few thin little strips just to show you how good this insert plate works. This is just some scrap wood I salvaged from work. I think it was a 4x2 that I'd ripped down to a different size that I no longer needed. So as you can see, they turned out great, just what I wanted. Well worth the effort of making this plate.
As you would have seen, I did actually manage to leave work early one day and get home and do some work in the daylight hours, although the light wasn't great when I did get home. Anyway, with the insert plate, as you can see, take that one out and that one fits in really great. It's a real snug fit. I will probably paint this a slightly different colour. But I don't have any spray paint to hand at the minute. Haven't planned any graffiti trips out, so that's why I've not stocked up on any spray paint. Of course, I'm joking there. And I did go around the edges with some sandpaper and smooth off any roughness that was left on the PVC itself. So if you found this video interesting or you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, share it amongst your friends, and please subscribe for more videos.